I'd been away for 10 exhausting days, sleepless flights, airports full of stale air and overpriced sandwiches, and endless conferences that blurred together into one long caffeinated nightmare. All I could think about was getting home. I craved quiet more than anything. I wanted to settle into my window seat, lean my head against the cool plastic, watch the clouds drift by, and let the stress evaporate into the sky. I'd paid extra for that seat. 2 months prior, when I booked this flight, I specifically picked 14A as my reward for surviving the marathon of meetings, presentations, and sleepless nights. The idea of sitting by the window gave me something to look forward to. I boarded early, lifted my bag into the overhead bin, and sank into my spot. The seat felt cold but familiar, the armrests worn down by thousands of previous passengers. My noise-canceling earbuds went in, and I let out a breath I'd been holding all week, but the relief didn't last long. A sharp nasal voice sliced through the boarding chatter. "Excuse me, you're in our seat." I opened my eyes and turned. 2 identical women stood in the aisle, breathing heavily as if they'd climbed a mountain. They were twins, no doubt both in their mid-40s, wearing matching floral muumuus, orthopedic sandals, and enormous pink neck pillows. The air around them reeked of floral perfume so strong it felt weaponized. One had her hair scraped into a lopsided bun that looked like it might topple over. The other wore a sequined visor inside the cabin. 14A and B, the bun declared, chin out. "That's us." I calmly held up my boarding pass. "This is 14A, I said, keeping my voice level. "I booked it months ago." Visor lady snatched the pass out of my hand like she was shooing a fly. No, we booked together. We have to sit next to each other. She gets panic attacks, and I have sciatica." "I'm sorry," I said evenly, reclaiming my ticket. "But this is my assigned seat." They shifted closer, crowding the aisle. The bun twin drew a ragged breath, already working herself into a lather. "Listen, sweetie," she hissed, voice sticky with condescension. "We don't do middle seats. I'm not about to sit squashed between strangers while my sister has." An episode. All around us, the boarding process slowed. Passengers craned their necks to see the spectacle. I glanced at their passes, 15B and 15C, middle and aisle. They had no right to my row. But entitlement doesn't respect logic, it thrives on confrontation. "I'm not moving," I said, this time firmer. "I selected this seat for a reason." They traded exasperated looks. Then, without another word, they did something I didn't expect. They clambered into the row anyway. Linda Visor lady heaved herself into the middle seat beside me, her thigh immediately overflowing the shared armrest. Brenda tried to wedge into 14C, which belonged to another passenger who hadn't arrived yet. "We're seated," Linda announced smugly. "Done. You can't just—" I began, but before I could finish, a flight attendant arrived. She was young, her ponytail tight, her smile already cracking under the strain of this job. "Is there a problem here?" The twins jumped at the chance. "Yes," Brenda said, jabbing a stubby finger at me. "He's in our seat." Linda clutched her neck pillow dramatically. "She has panic attacks. I have a medical condition." The attendant scanned my pass, then theirs. Her expression flattened. "I'm sorry, ladies. 14A is his seat. You're assigned to 15 bites in 15C. "That's impossible," Brenda sputtered, cheeks turning blotchy. "It's correct," the attendant said. "I'll need you to move." They didn't budge. Linda folded her arms like a toddler refusing to eat vegetables. "I've already put my things down. I'm not moving." Brenda echoed her, voice rising. "Me neither." Passengers around. U.S. side. The pilot would be informed. Tension buzzed down the aisle. "Sir," the attendant turned to me, "would you consider moving so we can keep boarding on schedule?" I stared at her, incredulous. "No," I said calmly. "I paid for this seat. I'm not the problem. Nearby, a man muttered, "Good for him." A few others nodded in agreement that the twins weren't finished. Brenda began rummaging theatrically in her bag like she'd produce a court summons or a medical affidavit. Linda leaned toward me, her breath a sour cocktail of coffee and perfume. "You're ruining our flight," she hissed. "Not as much as you're ruining mine," I shot back. The attendants huddled. Finally, the lead crew member returned with a final warning. "If you don't move to your assigned seats, we will need to involve airport security." That did it. Brenda snatched her bag and stomped down the aisle, cursing under her breath. Linda followed, her visor crooked with indignation. They flopped into 15B and 15C, just behind me. The flight attendant gave me an apologetic smile. I nodded. The fight was over. Or so I thought. As the engines roared and we began to taxi, I felt a gentle bump against my seat. Then another, then another. Linda's foot, rhythmic and deliberate. I closed my eyes, willing myself to stay calm. But soon, the petty sabotage escalated. Loud sighs, muttered insults, the tray table slamming down like a gavel. They were determined to make me regret defending my seat. "Some people are so selfish," Brenda announced to no one in particular. "No compassion for medical issues." Linda chimed in, voice theatrical. "All we wanted was a little kindness." The flight attendant passed by again to collect drink orders. Brenda shot her hand up like a student desperate for attention. "I need to file a complaint," she declared. "We're being harassed." The attendant looked exhausted. "Ma'am, I witnessed the earlier issue." "You're in your assigned seats," Brenda gasped. "Handled?" "We're being retaliated against." I tuned out their performance and scrolled through my phone, desperate for distraction. But the petty drama didn't stop. Every few minutes something thumped against my seat. Linda's phone accidentally fell. Brenda's purse tumbled under my feet. Each time, they huffed and moaned, milking every inconvenience for maximum pity. When Brenda leaned forward and hissed, "Hope your view was worth ruining 2 lives," I knew I'd had enough. Without a word, I flipped my camera to selfie mode. "This is me," I said quietly, recording. 33, tired, paid for a seat I chose months ago. Now I'm being harassed. I tilted the lens to catch their feet nudging my chair. Brenda's scowling face. A low chorus of whispers around us. Then I saved the clip, titled it "Karen Flight from Hell," and posted it to Talk. Under a minute. Quick and clear. Just me and the truth. Then I tweeted, "Got bullied by 2 Karens who tried to steal my window seat. Now they're kicking my chair and playing the victim." #plain drama. I didn't expect much, maybe a few sympathetic comments. But as we cruised at 35,000 feet, notifications began pouring in. Hundreds, then thousands. My phone buzzed with likes and retweets. The woman across the aisle leaned over, a grin tugging at her mouth. "Are you the guy from TikTok?" I nodded, stunned. "I think so." "Half the plane's seen it," she whispered. A college student. Behind her lifted his phone in silent solidarity. "Good luck, man," he murmured. "They've been awful since boarding." When Brenda caught sight of the teenager's screen, her face went white. She tapped Linda's shoulder, voice shrill. "That's us." "He's recording us." Linda lurched forward, eyes wild. "Are you filming us without permission?" I met her gaze calm. "Nope, just myself." "Your antics are incidental. That's illegal," she screeched. A few passengers laughed. The flight attendant returned, already bracing for impact. "He's harassing us again." Brenda wailed. "We demand he delete the video." I handed over my phone. She watched the clip, sighed, and handed it back. "You are within your rights." Linda's voice rose an octave. "This is slander." A passenger across the aisle corrected. "Her, you mean defamation, and it's not if it's true." The laughter that followed was quiet, but undeniable. The twins were unraveling, their control slipping with every passing second. The twins fell silent for a blessed minute. Maybe they were realizing the performance wasn't landing the way they hoped. But quiet never lasted long with them. I adjusted my headphones, trying to lose myself in music, but I could still hear. Their exaggerated sighs, the constant accidental kicks against the back of my seat, and the occasional cough so loud it sounded rehearsed. 20 minutes later, the Wi-Fi finally caught up with the chaos unfolding online. My notifications pinged faster than I could read them. The video had surpassed 1 million views. Dozens of comments poured in every second. Stand your ground. This is exactly why assigned seating exists. Give this man a medal. I wasn't trying to go viral, I just wanted to be left alone. But apparently, the internet had decided this was the showdown of the week. When I looked around, I realized the entire cabin knew. A man in a business suit winked at me as if we were co-conspirators. A teenage girl a few rows ahead turned in, her seat to flash a thumbs up. Even the flight attendants seemed slightly relieved that someone had finally exposed the two women's behavior. Brenda started rummaging through her bag again, her voice sharp as she leaned toward her sister. "They're filming us. He's making us look crazy." Linda's face flushed a mottled red. She stabbed the call button, her finger jabbing it with the urgency of a life-or-death emergency. When the flight attendant reappeared, Linda's voice pitched up into a whine. "He's weaponizing social media against us." The attendant's tired expression didn't waver. "Ma'am, everyone has the right to record themselves, but he's humiliating us." Brenda snapped, twisting in her seat. I turned, leveling them both with a calm look. "No, you're humiliating yourselves. I just hit record." A ripple of agreement passed through the cabin. The man with headphones half off nodded approvingly. The woman across the aisle didn't even bother to hide her grin. Linda sputtered something about legal action, but no one was listening anymore. Their power, whatever it was, had evaporated. They were no longer the aggrieved victims. They were the cautionary tale. I almost felt bad for them. Almost. The descent into pity. When the plane began its final descent, the atmosphere shifted. There was no more tension, only a collective curiosity about how this drama would end. Passengers exchanged knowing glances. Some craned their necks to get a last look at the infamous row 15. I watched the window as the city came into view, lights winking through the clouds. In the reflection, I could see Brenda stiff and pale, clutching her neck pillow like it might protect her from reality. Linda kept tapping at her phone, her thumb darting across the screen as if she could undo the damage with sheer determination. But it was too late. The video was everywhere. When the seatbelt sign finally chimed off, the aisle erupted in movement. Passengers leaped up to grab their bags. The twins remained seated, glaring straight ahead. I stayed put, knowing what was coming. The flight attendant approached, her voice soft but firm. "Sir, please remain in your seat. You'll be met at the gate." I nodded, unsurprised. Linda's head snapped around. "What about us?" she demanded, her voice shrill. "He's the one who caused this." The attendant didn't answer. Brenda started up again, her voice rising into a crescendo of panic. No, this isn't fair. He humiliated us." Someone in the aisle muttered, "Didn't take much," and a ripple of laughter followed. The doors opened. 2 uniformed airport staff stepped in, calm and professional. "Passenger in 14A?" one asked. I raised my hand. "Sir, could you come with us for a moment?" I rose, slung my bag over my shoulder, and followed them past rows of sympathetic faces. A woman patted my arm as I passed. "You handled that with more patience than I ever could." I managed a tired smile. Behind me, the twins were still arguing now with each other. "You should have just taken the aisle." "Well, maybe if you hadn't started screaming about your sciatica." I stepped onto the jet bridge with the staff. Another representative joined us, tablet in hand. "We've had multiple passenger reports," she explained, her tone neutral but understanding. And we've seen the footage you posted." I exhaled, unsure what to say. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Her mouth curved into a sympathetic smile. "You handled it better than most. We just wanted to say thank you for staying." Calm. The aftermath. While I spoke with them, the twins were escorted out separately, their expressions tight with disbelief. No more bluster, no more smug confidence, only the red-faced realization that their attempt at public shaming had backfired spectacularly. When I finally emerged into the terminal, my phone buzzed again. 3.1 million views. The number felt surreal. Just hours ago, I was an exhausted traveler wanting peace and a window view. Now, I was the guy who stood up to the Karens. I walked past the shops and food counters, feeling the strangest mixture of relief and astonishment. A teenager near the newsstand whispered to her friend, eyes wide, "That's him." She murmured. A businessman caught my eye and gave a subtle nod of approval. When I reached the exit, I ordered a ride and checked my notifications one last time. Comments scrolled past in a dizzying blur. "InstantKarma. Legend. Please tell me there's a part 2. Memes had already sprouted. Stills of Linda mid-screech. Captions like "We don't do middle seats." Photos of me calmly recording while chaos erupted behind me. My ride pulled up. I climbed in, grateful that this ordeal was finally over. As we pulled away, another notification lit my screen. A DM from the airline itself. "We'd love to speak with you about your experience. Also, your return flight has been upgraded to first class, no questions asked." I stared, incredulous, then let out a laugh that startled the driver. Epilogue. When I reached home, I dropped my bags, kicked off my shoes, and collapsed on the couch. My phone was still buzzing, a constant drumbeat of likes, shares, and support from total strangers. I opened TikTok for one final update, recording my tired face, cracked a weary smile, and spoke. Update. The Karen sisters disembarked in silence. I got an upgrade. The internet did its thing. I paused, then added, moral of the story? Pick your battles wisely, especially when you're messing with someone who can edit video mid-flight. Comments flooded in laughing emojis, applause. People cheering for the tiny victory of a quiet man who wouldn't be bullied. As I closed the app, a final message appeared, a verified influencer inviting me to co-host a video about Entitled Travelers. I couldn't help but grin. The twins wanted to be seen. Well, now they were seen by millions. In me. My next flight was in 2 weeks. Same airline. Same window seat. This time, I knew exactly how to handle any turbulence.